I have never been this excited for a horror movie in my life. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. Halloween 2018 is finally here. I know that's not its official title, but because there is already two other Halloween movies, this one is getting Halloween 2018 because, there's also the Rob Zombie one and the amazing original Halloween movie. So, like everyone else, I have been greatly anticipating this movie, and if you have been around this channel for very long, you will know that I am not a huge fan of horror movies. I have a very specific type of horror movie that I like, and that is most of the time, well, actually, mostly the slasher movie. And who is my favorite slasher? Freddy Krueger. But in second place is the unstoppable Michael Myers, The Shape, The Boogeyman. I absolutely love the original Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. I have not seen any of the other ones. I own the second Halloween movie, but not the first one. But the first and last time, I've only seen Halloween once, but it stuck with me and I absolutely loved it. The first and only time I've seen it is at a throwback that my theater, when I lived in Indiana, they always did throwback movies on Sundays and Wednesdays, and I would go usually on Wednesday night after work, get a big old bucket of popcorn, and watch almost any of the movies that they would show or were showing that week. And the Halloween before I moved out to LA, they were showing Halloween, and I was like, you know what? I've never seen this movie. I gotta go see it. So I saw it, fell in love, and it was probably the best way to watch that movie for the first time on a big screen. I need to watch that movie again, which I will be watching Halloween again for the 40th anniversary, which is not this coming Saturday. The next Saturday, I will be doing a video for it, and you will probably see that on next Friday, so like a week from today. So look forward to that. I know everyone has been doing their Halloween reviews and things like that for Countdown to this movie, but I wanted to do something special for the Halloween 40th anniversary, and I will be doing that next week when the actual 40th anniversary is. So let's just get started on this review because I know you guys are that is what you were wanting. And usually I have this notebook or this notebook back here, which is full, to take notes on, and that's how I take notes. And if you are a patron, you will see my notes. If you're a $10 plus patron, you will see how crazy my notes can get sometimes. But going to this movie, I was almost to the theater and I realized I left this right here by my filming setup because I had just done First Man a couple days ago and I forgot to bring this with me, put it in my bag. So when I got to the movie theater, luckily I had a pen in my purse and I had to grab some napkins and take notes on a napkin, which is super fun, super hard to do. So let's see if I can decipher my notes. But I think I will be able to do a fairly decent job because I absolutely love this movie. It is so good. Oh my god. Not everything. There are some jokes that don't quite land because this was written by Danny McBride, who is a comedian. He is really funny, and it was directed by, oh my god, I literally just had the name of the director on my tongue. I am going to look it up really quick, and you guys are probably yelling at me in the comments. And it was directed by David Gordon Green, who is also a director mostly known for comedies. So it was very interesting to see this duo come together to make a horror movie, but it has been such a great last couple of years for comedy writers and directors to be making horror movies, especially like Jordan Peele. He is most known for his comedy, his show Key and Peele, and he wrote and directed his first feature film, and it was a amazing horror thriller movie, and he's in talks to do more. And John Krasinski, who is mostly known for his role on The Office as Jim, co-wrote and directed A Quiet Place. So it's like comedy guys are doing some big things in horror, and I am here for it because that's probably one of the very few ways that you can get me to go to a horror movie. It's one of the reasons why I went to go see A Quiet Place in the first place. And, well, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt took me to see A Quiet Place. I would go for them no matter what. But Get Out, I heard the hype about it, but I also really do love Key and Peele. And I wanted to see Jordan Peele's directorial debut, so that was the reason. But yeah, comedy guys in horror are doing some really great things, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store for them. But this was great. Some of the jokes, like I said, didn't quite land in some spots, but there were some really great funny bits that I really enjoyed that I was surprised to see because they didn't have things like that in the original one, and it was really cool. So that's probably like the one thing I did not have with it. It's like not like super strong writing, but it still has a great story. There was a Stardust reaction, I don't remember who said it, that I just watched. I know, I have really bad short-term memory, but they said that there were parts of the story that just kind of went on into tangents, and the original was a very tightly written story, and I really actually agree with them. It's not something I have in my notes, but it's something that I did kind of notice that it went off in weird places at certain points. Like there was this whole relationship that Laurie's granddaughter has that you don't really get a wrap up on, and it was kind of weird. Once they get to the end, you think that there's something going to happen with that, but that also kind of goes along with a part of the original Halloween movie where Laurie is supposed to go on a date with this one guy, and ends up he doesn't show up or something. You don't really get to see or meet this guy, and her friends end up getting killed anyways, so I guess it's kind of like that, but this one you actually get to see the boyfriend and things like that. But I don't think it was just kind of a loose end that they didn't really tie up, but it also kind of is a reflection on the original. There were also, speaking of the original, there were also a couple really great homages to not only the original Halloween, but also to Halloween. Well, I wouldn't say Halloween 2 because I'm not as like well versed on Halloween 2. I know a little bit more about Halloween 3, which is weird because I have Halloween 2 and I still haven't watched it. I do kind of know a little bit more about the Halloween 3 part because it's not really a Michael Myers story. It's actually not a Michael Myers story at all. It has nothing to do with that because originally John Carpenter wanted to make this into an anthology series and have none of the movies connected at all. So you see, I noticed a lot more nods to the third Halloween movie versus the second one, but a lot more nods to the original. And I'm going to try to not do spoilers because I don't like doing spoilers on this channel. Anyways, I may do a spoiler review over on my Patreon, but I'm gonna try to keep this quick. There's a lot of notes here too, by the way. And as always, I'm going to be jumping around because it is late and my notes are very hard to read. So I think I'm just going to kind of go down the list of my notes. They are a little bit jumbled, but it'll be interesting to see where this leads because there's some notes that reference other notes, but I couldn't really go back. Okay, long story short, I'm just going to go in order off of my notes. So the intro of this movie, you have this cold open when they are at the asylum meeting Michael for the first time. Well, the podcasters are. And I feel like that story is a little diverted off of the normal story, but it does get the ball rolling for the background information on Laurie and Michael and what has happened in the 40 years since the original Halloween movie because like the trailers, you've seen the trailers and like everyone knows pretty much going into this movie, the second movie is gone. It's just completely wiped out and you are starting from the original Halloween movie. It has nothing to do. They do a nod to the fact that they made up the fact that Michael and Laurie were siblings. So you kind of just get that knocked out later on in the movie. But in the initial intro, it's this cold open kind of deal where the podcasters are meeting Michael for the first time, and it's so tense. The tension just builds up. You see it in the trailer, but in the theater, I saw this in Dolby, when the inmates just laughing and the dog barking, the seats are like shaking, and you feel this tension because you can see everybody else's face but Michael's, which is something that I really, really love that they did in this movie, because like with any other Halloween movie, you don't see Michael's face. However, in this, you get to see bits and pieces of his face, which is a little bit of kind of a letdown, but I believe this might be the last Halloween movie, although the ending maybe kind of signaled to a sequel to this, which I don't know. There could be. That might be kind of a spoiler, but it is also Michael Myers. You never know when this guy is dead. He doesn't die. He is some mystical, eternal being. It was just, you got to see little glimpses of his face. You could probably piece together what his face looked like. And throughout there are shots where it's a wide shot and he's attacking somebody, but you can see his face, but it is a little bit blurred by his movements, his hand coming up with a knife or something to attack the person, or the person he's attacking kind of going in front of his face anyways. So you can see like a glimpse of his face, but you don't get the full effect. And it also is amazing that not only did Jamie Lee Curtis come back to play Laurie Strode, the original Michael Myers himself came back to play Michael, and I'm just awed. It's amazing. I love when slashers come back to play the original slasher comes back to play their character. I mentioned the podcasters, and I feel like their story is a little bit inserted in there. One, to give it a very 2018 feel, but two, also to be the service of, or the servers of the backstory. There are moments where they're just kind of talking into their podcast mics and telling a little bit of the backstory of what happened between Michael and Laurie and what happened that Halloween night. And then they go talk to Laurie and get a little bit of her backstory as well. But the way that they do it, it's not like super obvious, but then it gets a little obvious. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird gray area. I kind of like it, but at the same time, I'm just like, you just kind of threw it in there. I don't know how else they really would have done it unless it's just like a cop just blatantly saying to the camera almost, or to some rookie cop, hey, this is what happened to Laurie. She blah, 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 because I'm not going to say it. It's a spoiler. So there's that. And there's also a new doctor watching over Michael. I'm not going to say his name because I don't remember it. I could look it up, but it's Russian, I believe, so it's a little bit hard for me to pronounce, so I'm just going to call him New Loomis. And there is a quote that he says that I really, really liked, and I wrote down, called, "Has one monster created," well, actually, no, he doesn't say it, the podcaster does, but it has one monster created another, that I really liked in reference to what happened that night 40 years ago to Laurie. But when Laurie first meets New Loomis, she says to him, "You're the new Loomis," and I absolutely love that line because you can feel him paying homage to the original Dr. Loomis. There's even a line that he says, what does he say? He says the classic Dr. Loomis line, "Where is he?" And he sounds exactly like him, and it was kind of weird for a second, but at the same time, it also felt like it was trying to pay homage to the original, which I didn't mind that much, but I just... There's a lot to process with this movie. It's a lot. I was speechless for like a good hour after watching it. So a couple more things before I wrap up. There is so much other stuff to talk about with this, but overall, the last like 30 minutes of this is so intense and tension-filled. You just feel it. You are sitting there on the edge of your seat, jumping at all of the jump scares, because there are a few really great jump scares in this. They definitely got me really good. There's a couple that are just fake outs that got me good still, but yeah, the last 30 minutes of this are probably almost it. I wouldn't say they're better than the original, because it's just the first time you watch the Laurie and Michael fight at the end of the first one, is just so intense. It's just insane. And the Michael and Laurie fight in the end of this one is even more intense because not only is Laurie's not the only final girl in this, I'm not going to spoil who else is the only final girl or the other final girl. It's just so great. And speaking of final girls, Jamie Lee Curtis is so brilliant. She is back, and I absolutely loved watching her be back as Laurie. She was just... I loved Jamie Lee Curtis a lot. And her daughter, played by Judy Greer. Judy Greer gives such an amazing performance. At first, you don't really feel it. She is very under the line. Like, she's just kind of towing it. But then once it gets kicked into high gear, she gives a performance. And I don't know the name of the actress who plays the granddaughter, but she does a pretty great performance as well. But for me, the two standouts in this were definitely the original, the OG Jamie Lee Curtis, and then Judy Greer gives her a run for her money. So good. But the girl that plays the granddaughter, her name, I don't know the name of the actress, but the name of the granddaughter is Allison. She is really smart. She is definitely, if they were to do a sequel to this or whatever to spin it off, she would definitely be back, I feel like, because I feel like she is very much like Laurie when she was in, like, the original Halloween movie, and I would kind of like to see more of that, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about it, because, I mean, Michael, I feel like, is never going to be dead, and I also just feel like it's a little bit too much to just keep it going, keep making more, but who knows? I know if there is another one, I will probably watch it, especially if it is as amazing looking as this one, maybe scored by Carpenter again, which I don't think I've even gotten to his score. So good. It's just, once you hear that iconic Halloween sound, you know what you're in for. It's just brilliant. And if David Gordon Green comes back to direct and Danny McBride writes, maybe I feel like it could possibly be the same as this one. It could probably still live up to the hype and be really great. But who knows if they will even do a second one. So that is a lot to talk about, and there's still probably even more, but I'm really tired. So I think maybe if I have time to, my schedule is super full, I will probably do a bigger spoiler breakdown on my Patreon. If I do that, I would probably just put it up for $1 patrons. But if I do that, that's where it'll be. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this movie, if you've seen it. If you have seen all of the Halloween movies or any of them, let me know which one is your favorite. You know what? I haven't even done my rewatch score for this. That's how tired I am right now. But my rewatch score for this, I mean, of course, it's going to be collection. Why wouldn't it be? I'm a sucker for a slasher movie, especially one like this. It is very well made. It's very modern, and it pulls from and pays homage to not only the original Halloween, but another classic slasher movie, one of the originals, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, at the very end. It's a very small little thing, but it's very noticeable, and I really loved the way they did that. It's kind of mixing the two really great slashers from the 70s together. So that is everything. I'm gonna go to bed now. Probably not. I'm gonna stay up until like 2 a.m. editing this. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really truly do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking all things movies, TV shows, filmmaking, film history with you guys. And I'll see you next time. Bye!